Hello indie game fans, the 2D action platformer is a great complement to the backtracking, ability gating design of the metroidvania, so much so that I've already made one such video on 30 upcoming indie games for the year, but indie games really are the gift that keeps on giving, so here are 10 more upcoming titles to check out. If you're new here, my name is Clemmy and I love all things indie games, and if you do as well, be sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up.
Why not join us? And we can be one happy family. In a few moments, there will be no Clement, and you can join your family of demons in hell!
Let's begin with the long in development Okinawa Rush, a fantastic looking pixel art entry that is based on martial arts.
Pain is certain. Suffering is optional.
It's a 2D combo-based brawler, which looks fantastic, with a variety in combat and perhaps almost fighting game-like controls should turn out to be pretty fun.
Along with the one who claimed it. May live.
Interestingly, this does support 2-player co-op as well, and looks to capture some of that same arcade magic, but it's not so much of a beat 'em up since it only has one plane of action, which makes it qualify for this category. This has been a very long time coming, where its slated release was shifted from Q2 to Q3 2021, so fingers crossed we'll get to play this year. Alright, so a little bit of a technicality on this entry since Ghost Knight: A Dark Tale is technically a 2.5D entry due to the use of the character models, but it's a spooky cute entry that looks awesome. It does have hints of everything from medieval, pumpkin jack, and even ghouls and ghosts, where you play as a ghost knight, a hero bound to a suit of armor, who is on a quest to stop the Mad King. It looks well made in all aspects from platforming to combat, so of course I'm all in on this. Fist of the Forgotten is a very intriguing entry since it has an interesting silhouetted look, where you wield the titular fist, exploring the world, facing powerful bosses and uncovering the secrets of forgotten civilizations. What intrigues me is the fluidity of the animation and controls, where your character looks like they're able to glide effortlessly through the air, chaining together jumps and glides and fist abilities into quite a graceful display. This does remind me of the soaring platformer entry, The King's Bird, combined with the perhaps Limbo-inspired art style and world, so of course it has my attention. Developer Vinkintor has quite the standout art style, since one look at Teocida and you can immediately see the resemblance to Tamashi from 2019. where both are horror platformer entries, which is quite an interesting space. Now of course there are grotesque and occult imagery in this, as will be expected for a game in this genre, but I do think that it has a very unique and interesting look and might be worth a play. Alright, so I did technically cover Song of Iron before, but it did get a new trailer, which has only gotten me even more excited for it. It's a side-scrolling action title with combat that looks absolutely brutal, where you play as a warrior seeking out the temple of the gods in order to save his people, but in the way are man, monster and nature itself. This new trailer shows off some of the variety, from fire arrows, an electric weapon, dragons, ogres and more, looking like an adventure on an epic scale which is not to be missed. This is also from a solo developer, which makes it even more impressive, so if interested, do give this a wishlist. I have a soft spot for retro titles, so of course, Sondro Gomez A Sunova Story is of interest, a title that looks 8-bit excellent and is very classic in design. You play as an Indiana Jones-like character, down to wielding a whip as his main weapon, adventuring on the hunt for wish-granting mystic orbs. As a fan of pixel art, I do have to tip my hat to the artist here, really nailing that 8-bit look down to the colour scheme and resolution, where the developers cheekily suggest that this may be a lost game from 1989. It does also look a little classicvania-like as well due to the user interface, so I do think that you know exactly what this developer is going for. A fantastic action platformer with a historical slant is The Legend of Tianding, one which is based on a Taiwanese folk hero from the early 20th century when Taiwan was under Japanese rule. This is a Robin Hood-like character as he robbed from the rich and fed the poor, and I especially love it when indie developers from all over the world showcase their culture and history in games. That aside, how good does this game look? The cel-shaded, almost comic book-like look of this is fantastic, so I cannot wait to get hands-on with this. Speaking of impressive art styles, Sonzai is another one to watch, which has a painstakingly hand-drawn inky art style that absolutely wowed me. It takes place in a dynamic living town named Kumotoshi, where it is as much about discovering the secrets of the town as it is about getting to know and befriending the inhabitants, but the game does embrace the social links concept from Persona that affects the course of the story. Now, I have no clue how this ties into the fantastic looking action, but I do believe that spirits may have something to do with this, but just take a minute to admire how gorgeous this looks. I'm a sucker for unique art styles and awesome animation, and I can certainly see the work put in here, so I'm down for this and it's one to watch next year. An awesome platformer title that I've kept in my back pocket for a long time is Iron Corbo, simply waiting for the right moment to show it off, and since the developer released the official trailer, it's as good a time as any to show off. Its subtitle is Kung Fu Janitor, where our protagonist is exactly that, and is a light-hearted adventure about high-flying action and climate change. The art style is on point, where the details in the environments are one of the most impressive things that I have seen, and the combo-focused combat does take inspiration from fighting games as well, and it's certainly a title to watch. I know, I can be really shallow when it comes to games, but first impressions do matter, and one that stunned me was They Always Run, where the high detailed hand-drawn art and lighting looks fantastic. Play as a 3-armed mutant bounty hunter who travels the galaxy tracking down his targets, where again, the fluidity of the action looks awesome. The 3 arms of the protagonist looks very interesting, especially in countering enemy attacks, which seems satisfying to pull off. There's also slick platforming and plenty of variety, so of course I'm in, taking the #1 spot. For a look at the current best action platformers that you can play right now, do check out this video and I will see you after the jump.